Hey, how's everybody doing? So I'm excited to say that I'm going to start a weekly recap. This is mainly for me to keep track of what I said and how I objectified the market or subjectified the market, and my predictions, and just to see how I did. I'm very excited to do this. Hopefully, people will start watching, but if not, that's okay too. So let's get started. I am going to do every week the SPY and the QQQ because this is the stock market recap. All right, so I'm going to do S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100. And these videos should be about 10 minutes or so. Let's get started. Let me share my screen. All right, so let's get started with the S&P 500. So the main thing I'm looking at in the S&P 500 is this rising wedge. This rising wedge um, the rising wedge is one of my favorite patterns to look at, and I believe rising and falling wedge, and I believe that this rising wedge will break down to the downside eventually. So what we're doing, or what I'm doing rather, is I am looking to see when that happens. I do think that we might be there. We might get a correction. Now, I'm not calling for a crash, but I am calling for a correction because these rising wedge breakouts or these wedge breakouts or breakdowns do go for a certain percentage of the total move usually, right? So I'm not going to try to predict that because that can vary, and I don't want people to say, "Oh, well, you said it was going to drop this much." So I'm very bullish on the market, but I'm bearish for the next week. Let's just say that. Now, why am I bearish? I see the rising wedge that we're in, and now as we're close to the bottom of it, we have what's called a bearish engulfing candle pattern. That is when, zoom in. That is when, as you can see, this candle, this is on the daily, by the way, everybody. This candle, the body of it engulfs completely the previous candle's body, right? So you see that the open was above the close of the previous candle, but the close was way below the close of the previous candle, which makes the body, which makes this a bearish engulfing. Now, if we go close, whenever else we were close to this rising wedge, or we can look at any patterns at the bottom of the move, right, of the impulses. We never had a bearish engulfing or a bullish engulfing. They were just normal patterns. But this is the first engulfing pattern we have. So I put that definitely into consideration. The next thing that I see, obviously, is the overall rising wedge. So those are two things that I'm looking at. So I'll go ahead and say what I think is going to happen. So first, let me give you the market recap. So right here was Monday. Okay. So from Monday close to Friday close, it was basically sideways, all else. We only lost about 0.12%. Okay, so it wasn't a big week either way. Yes, we did have a big move down on Tuesday where we closed almost 1% down, and then on Thursday we closed almost 0.5% up from the Monday. But as it is on the close on Friday, the move was basically moot at negative 0.12%, which is nothing. So what do I think is going to happen? So there's two ways that this can happen, because technical analysis is not 100%. This engulfing can prove out to be nothing, right? More than 50% of the time, it is not nothing. It is accurate more than 50% of the time, but that there's still a lot of room there. So with that said, I think that this next week is going, I am bearish, as, oh, Saronin said so. Yep. Congratulations. You win. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. I am bearish. Now, I'm not going to catastrophize. Let's see. Let's go to Friday. There's Friday. All right. I think for this week, right about here is about the safe zone. I think for this week, the most that we can lose is about 1.5% ish. Yeah, right there. 1.5% is my prediction. So I'll go ahead and type that in there. Okay, and I'm going to leave this there until the next week market recap, so we could see what I said was going to happen versus what actually happened. All right. Well, that's that for the SPY. I'm bearish, and I am sure I'm going to also be bearish for the Qs, because the Qs look similar. However, we do have a stronger engulfing candle pattern. Now, there's another detail I want to share with everyone in case you're trying to recreate these charts, is I use logarithmic. I don't know why it always switches back to regular. Was I on logarithmic? Okay, I was. Okay. So I actually have to fix my rising wedge because it's on the logarithmic, or it's on the regular, not the logarithmic. Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay. So on the Qs, right? Same story as the SPY. However, the bearish engulfing candle that we have is actually more powerful because it engulfs the last 2 days, right? It engulfs the last 2 days, and, well, actually, now looking at it, it doesn't engulf. Okay, it's not as bearish as I thought. It does not completely engulf, and that's all that matters. So disregard, it is almost, but not as. If we zoom in, you'll see that, yeah, and even a little bit counts. So because the candle is below, that is not. So let me get that out of there. Okay. Okay, so we have only a bearish engulfing, which is just as bearish as the SPY. It's only the previous day. What is the same is we are close to, we're close, and the Qs is more volatile than the SPY. So with that said, I am also going to go ahead and, I'm sure, blow your minds with my prediction. I am going to predict a down week. The entire down week, I am going to predict a down week. And I am going to predict a down week. Actually, going to go to this lowest body embodiment right here. So I think the Qs can lose as much. This is my worst case scenario, by the way, in 1 week. As much as 3.3%. This is not the best case scenario. This is the worst case scenario. So I am bearish. So even if it's a little down, I am right. Worst case scenario is 3.3%, in my opinion, not the facts. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Bearish. All right. Well, everyone, That is my weekly market recap and prediction. Actually, I didn't give you the recap, did I? Let's go back to Monday. Oh, Monday. All right. From Monday to Friday, the market closed down 1.12%. So it was a bearish week for the market in the Qs, and I believe it's going to be another bearish week. Now, this could be very big. Last thing I'm going to say is for both the SPY and the Qs, this could be a very big day, because if the Qs does what I think it's going to do, that does mean that there's more downside to come, right? If we break this area right here on the Qs, that is very bearish, because the market does impulses, up and down, it creates higher highs and lower lows, right? So as you can see, here it created a higher high from here to here, right? Higher high, higher low, not lower lows, higher lows. Higher high, higher low, right? Higher high, higher low. You see, it didn't break it. Higher high, higher low. Higher high, higher low. Higher than here. Now, if this next low, because we did not make a higher high, you see, from Monday to Friday, we did not make a higher high, and we created some really bearish outlooks. So if we create a lower high, which means we have one candle close below this range of 433 on the Qs, 433.89, that is bearish. So let's see if this happens. If that doesn't happen, then I'm wrong, and it's okay to be wrong, and I'll go over it next week. How you doing, Mike? All right, so that pretty much concludes my weekly market recap. Thank you for who's ever watching to this point. I appreciate it. Just going to go ahead and do this every week. Let's see how accurate I can be. So, with that said, that concludes today's video. Have a good one.